for welcoming us to country. It's an incredibly important thing for me. My family, my father's family, arrived on the Buffalo to South Australia, so there's a conversation about always was and always will be. Okay, so I'd also like to congratulate the organisers on a huge room of people. Okay, so somehow we're going through them. This is one of Roll's photos. One of the most amazing things about this bloom that sets it apart from all the other ones I've ever worked on is Anthony's photos of the bloom. I am blown away with them. The ability that technology gives us now to know what's happening is something that in the 30 years I've been doing this, I've never really had before. So it's really a lovely thing. Now, we talk about algae and people talk about, they go, oh, there's algae on the beach and there's algae here. Well, it's really important that we recognise what type of algae that we're dealing with. So there's the algae that's on the beach. We know about that stuff. And then there's all of the phytoplankton and microplankton that's actually causing the issue. And so all of these are like little tiny things. The biggest diatom that you can imagine is like 1/10 of a millimetre long. So they're really quite minute. The largest one of the plankton that occur in the water around here is something called sea sparkle, and it is 1.5 millimetres long. And at night time it glows. And so it's an amazing world. The donor flagellates like we have here, that's what it's called. I'll go into it in more detail later. There's 2,500 known species. And it is doing this on me again. So let's find our way back through it. And of those, only a small handful are toxic. So there is maybe 30 or 40 species that could cause you issues. The rest of the dinoflagellates actually often are eaten. They're a food source for krill, which are then a food source for whales. There is the ones that glow in the dark. There's the ones that we think might help us cure cancer. So just because you've got a bad one here at the moment doesn't mean that all should be tamed with that brush. And then of course there's the beautiful silica-coated diatom. So if you look down the bottom, the first two photos are a dinoflagellate. You can see they're small, they're dark looking, they've got a little bit of a waist to them, and they have one flagella that comes out. They're called dino because they swim around crazily, and they move 10-20 metres a minute if they're really steaming. Usually they just sort of wobble around in the water and on my slide, which is the best place for them. Next to them you can see some almost fingernail-shaped diatoms. They're the little glass shields that we get in those. And then next to it is the other really common, well, it's not really an algae, it's a bacteria that photosynthesizes. Now, the most species of any group of any living thing in the world is blue-green algae or cyanobacteria. And there's the last two photos are of those. So whenever somebody gives me a sample, most of them fit in one of those three categories. There's also a whole heap of other things, but they're far less common. Now, this is a map produced by NOAA, and those little glints, as you see, moving from 1974 to now, are hazardous algae blooms that we have recorded. Each one of those, keeping in mind we don't see most blooms, each one of those is a place where something that causes damage to human health or human values, such as our salmon farms, has occurred. And so yes, it's a really useful thing. There is a website for it down the bottom if you ever want to look at it, but that's since 1974. It's really quite interesting. We have gone from almost none to a world that's lit up with these on that map. Partially it's because we have better technology, we know they're happening now, but partially is, and very sadly it is, that they're happening more often. This is just since 2018. These are once again recorded hazardous algae blooms, that's the HAB, since 2018. And just for Ross, because he tells me about the coughing, and I went to experience it myself because, you know, one has to live experimentally. This afternoon with Ross, we went out and had a little look because I just had to, right? So the graph down the bottom showed you how often it is that we have lung issues to do with blooms where there is aerosol stuff and it causes human health issues. So it's actually quite common. The summary of it is not common in Australia, but quite common overall. And you can see we've had quite a few blooms here since 2018, but different species.